Elena, dressed in a stunning evening gown, stands beside her husband Mark in the lavish hotel ballroom. The corporate event is in full swing, with guests laughing and chatting while the clink of glasses fills the air. Despite her elegant appearance, Elena feels out of place. She watches Mark, confident and at ease, as he converses with colleagues. She forces a smile, feeling her insecurities creep up. Mark notices her discomfort and leans in to whisper, "You look beautiful tonight," trying to reassure her. Elena smiles softly, though it's clear she feels like a fish out of water. "Thanks. I'm just not sure I fit in here," she replies, a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Mark chuckles and brushes it off. "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. You're fine." The conversation is interrupted when Gregory, Mark's boss, approaches. Gregory is charismatic, with an aura of power and charm that fills the room as he moves. "Mark, glad you could make it. This is your lovely wife, I assume?" he says smoothly, extending a hand toward Elena. Mark beams proudly, introducing her to Gregory. Elena feels a wave of unease as she shakes Gregory's hand, his grip firm and lingering longer than necessary. "It's a pleasure, Elena. You're a lucky woman to have such a successful husband," Gregory continues, his voice warm yet predatory. Elena feels her discomfort grow, but forces a polite smile. "Thank you. It's nice to meet you," she replies, her voice a bit shaky. Mark, always the social one, takes the opportunity to slip away, leaving Elena alone with Gregory. The powerful man leans in slightly, his gaze focused on her in a way that feels both flattering and unnerving. "I've heard a lot about you, Elena. You and Mark make a great team," he comments, his voice low and smooth. Elena feels her pulse quicken, unsure how to respond. "We try our best," she says, trying to keep the conversation light. Gregory's smile widens, and he steps closer, his presence looming over her. "I'm sure, but I bet you could use some fun tonight, right? This gala's so formal. How about we grab a drink and talk? You deserve a break." Elena hesitates, glancing around for Mark, but he's nowhere in sight. She's unsure about leaving her husband's side, yet something about Gregory's charm draws her in. "I'm not sure. I should probably stay with Mark," she replies, her voice tentative. Gregory's smile doesn't falter. "I completely understand. But let's just grab a drink, no pressure. I promise it'll be quick." His words are gentle but insistent, and despite the warning bells in Elena's head, she finds herself nodding in agreement. The two make their way to the hotel bar, where the atmosphere is more relaxed, and Elena's nerves start to settle. She takes a sip of her wine, trying to loosen up. Gregory's demeanor is more casual now, his charm no less potent. "So what do you do when you're not supporting Mark at these events?" he asks, his voice warm and inviting. Elena, feeling slightly more at ease, chuckles. "Mostly, I take care of things at home. I've been thinking about going back to work, though," she replies, her words carrying a hint of longing for something more than her role as a supportive wife. Gregory leans in slightly, his eyes never leaving hers. "I think that's a great idea. You've got a lot of potential, Elena. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." His voice is low, almost soothing, and Elena feels herself drawn into his words. It's clear that he's not just talking about her career. There's something more behind his gaze, something that sends a thrill down her spine despite the growing tension in the pit of her stomach. She's aware that she's stepping into dangerous territory, yet the allure of Gregory's attention is undeniable. The conversation flows smoothly, but Elena's mind is a whirlwind. A few more glasses of wine later, her guard starts to slip, and she finds herself laughing more freely, enjoying the rare attention. Her heart races, but she can't quite pinpoint why. Gregory, ever the charismatic man, continues to draw her, in with every word, every smile. At some point, Elena becomes acutely aware that she's no longer just talking to her husband's boss. She's in the midst of something far more dangerous. But by then, it's too late to turn back. What happens next is a blur, a momentary lapse in judgment that feels like a dream. Yet the reality is undeniable. The chemistry between them erupts, and in the dark corner of the hotel bar, Elena finds herself swept away. The world outside fades as their connection ignites, and for that one fleeting moment, Elena is no longer the wife in the background. She is desired. She is seen. But as the night progresses, the weight of what she's done begins to settle in, and the guilt starts to gnaw at her. What started as a harmless conversation has now spiraled into something far more complicated. When Elena wakes up the next morning, disoriented and heavy with regret, the reality of what she's done crashes down on her. She can't remember every detail, but the shame is suffocating. Gregory has left a mark on her that she can't ignore, and she knows that her life has just been irrevocably changed. She tries to convince herself it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, but the consequences of her actions linger like a dark cloud hanging over her marriage. As the days pass, Elena avoids Gregory, but his calls and messages become increasingly insistent. He's not ready to let go. The tension builds as she grapples with her feelings for him and the crushing guilt of betraying her husband. Mark is still oblivious to the affair, consumed with his own work and life. Elena tries to convince herself that she can keep this secret, that she can continue living the life she's built with Mark, but the pull of Gregory's presence is undeniable. Every time they cross paths, every time he touches her in public, the weight of her choices becomes more unbearable. The affair continues to grow, not just as a physical connection, but as a toxic web that pulls Elena deeper into a world she never imagined herself in. Gregory's hold over her tightens as he manipulates her with promises of success, power, and a life beyond what Mark can offer. Elena begins to feel like a pawn in Gregory's game, but she's too far gone to walk away. The lies pile up, and the more she hides, the more she loses herself. The guilt and the temptation continue to war within her until she can no longer escape the truth. The affair is no longer just about lust, it's about the fear of losing everything she once had. But the cost of keeping this secret may be more than Elena is willing to pay.